Hey guys, it's Kris here. Today we're going to be going over some new kit that a lot of us on the team have decided to go with. We're really into the Russian stuff, thanks large in part to the Russians team, Milsim West having those two distinct factions, and a lot of you are used to seeing us in that high speed, special forces type of US/NATO kit. So this is a pretty big change of pace, as well as the weaponry behind me, whole new weapons platforms. But the reason we did it is, a friend of ours has always been into it, and just, we actually had just a fun little bet that if he did a US kit, that we would do Russian kits, and that's kind of just how it started. And some of us have gravitated a little more towards it than others, but we're all kind of into it. And so, in this video, we're going to be going over your direct action kind of equipment that specifically FSB Alfa group would use, as well as some reconnaissance equipment. And you'll see that later on in the video, the different types of camos, the different kind of personnel protection equipment, and the weapons, of course. So kind of stay tuned for that. The base of it all really starts with the JTech Mk2. Thanks to the fine folks at osfront.com, I believe it is. This is a replica of the Tasmanian Tiger Mk2 chest rig. These are a brand known as JTech. They're Taiwanese made, if I'm not mistaken. But this is kind of like the start of it all here. It's a very simple chest rig, very comfortable, and I kind of set this one up to my own personal taste. And to kind of just show you real quick before I forget, the mag pouches can easily fit 2 of the PP19 magazines, as well as your standard AK-545 magazines. But on the rig itself, the only thing I've really added is the Fort IAP pouches. Normally would have a bungee top, but there's enough retention that I don't need to have that redundancy. And then I use one of the mag pouches for the radio. But other than that, it's a simple chest rig. Very generous GPs on the sides that for most games I would carry small water bottles, since I don't usually carry a pack, as well as maybe some pyro, my gloves, just anything that I may need to carry for a skirmish or an extended game, etc. And then I do have my Milsim West tourniquet, which has pretty much become standard for us, even at open plays, just for our medicing process rather than the strip of white bandage. It's a little more involved, but we like the added difficulty or realism, if you will. And that's easily accessible. It's a standard procedure for a lot of guys to weave it through this webbing, but it's really, really tight, so I elected to just start putting it right there. So the Mk2 is extremely universal for pretty much everything that we do for these FSB kits, both reconnaissance style and direct action, which if I'm going to be running direct action, I will run it over my Defender 2 Cordura, just in OD green. I actually just recently acquired an authentic Fort one. It's got the tags and everything on the inside. I do not have real Kevlar in it, but I do have some real plates, 7 pounds per side. The Defender plates are pretty unique. It's 2 on the front and 2 on the back, so 14 pounds total. It's a little heavy, but the way the Defenders are designed, it fits really snugly against your body, so it doesn't bounce and wobble. But this is great. I had a replica just recently, but the real one, you can just tell in the build quality, the color, it's just a better piece of kit. This is worn in conjunction with the RBR helmet. We have a basic USGI strap system for any night vision. I haven't gone through the expense of getting it myself, but eventually that is the plan. I need the large because I have a huge noggin, but it's a great, comfortable helmet. It's got a very basic harness system inside. And I do have a Streamlight Sidewinder light. You can find these in a few reference pictures, but it's fully rotating, so if I need a helmet light for any situation, it's there. But it's also easily removable. If I don't need it, it just pops right off, and only the mount is left on there. Alright, and then here we're going to be talking about the Mk2 belt kit that I'll usually end up wearing for both direct action and Recce, depending on the game. Sometimes I don't need the subload, just because I don't need all the pieces except for maybe the dumper. So we'll kind of spin it around and I'll go over what's on it. Again, it's a JTech replica of of the whole set, but you know, it works extremely well. My only gripe is it doesn't have Molle, so some of the pouches do slide, but once it's on, they don't really slide that much. I've got one taco. There is a faithful Russian replica known as Voin pouches, but tacos are seen out there in the wild as well, so it is appropriate to use. It works for multi-caliber, so if I needed to use a PP mag or an AK mag, it can work. And I've got two pistol pouches, mag pouches for my Glock 17. On the back, I do have just a basic dump pouch, but it's the JTech line. It's kind of got a rigid ring around it, so it does stay open. But the bad part is, like a lot of basic dump pouches, if you're sprinting or running, you may lose a mag or two. So this is kind of what happens. Then you have an IFAK. I do have this just filled with basic boo-boo stuff, gauze, alcohol wipes, bandages, some tape, anything to just cover up a cut. You know, we do have a friend who is a real-life EMT, so if anything were to really go wrong, it's up to him. He knows what to do. But I originally had a JTech replica. I was able to actually find for sale an actual issued one from a guy in the FSB. It makes it kind of a unique piece. Does it add any more value? Maybe a little, but I just think it's really cool that some guy actually used that. It's really neat. And then I also keep inside, just because I don't want to lose it, an Army Tech's helmet cover in Multicam for the RBRs. Just in case, you know, we're running a full Multicam kit, it just kind of completes the look. But to be honest, I like the all black look of the RBR. I think it's got a better look to it in general. And then coming off to the right side, I do have just a basic Blackhawk Serpa holster. Again, for the Glock 17. You know, Serpas are nice. They're easy in, easy out. And then on the front right, I do have a couple of the Mark II grenade pouches. We've grown really fond of the TLSFX P grenades, especially for Milson West and any other host that will allow us to use them, since they are pyrotechnics. But these hold two perfectly. The stems kind of poke out the sides, but they're fine. But they are, especially in a Milson West game, they are the most fun prop / killing device in the game that you can get. Just the bangs, the putting people's heads down. It's a really it's a neat addition to the game. So if you can ever get your hands on them or want to use them, definitely check them out. One thing to note about most of the pouches on the system is a lot of these Mark II kits came as a whole set. So chest rig, belt, pouch kits, which there's a lot of the Mark II kit that I don't need or use. But they're all designed to work in conjunction with each other as one big group. But everything on the belt, save for the holster, of course, and the one HSGI taco, they're all purpose-built with the Mark II kit, so they're meant to be together. And of course, just by looking at it, you can tell that they all same materials, so they blend and they look right. They do look a lot like the NATO stuff, and there's reasons for it. It just works. Pouches work. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So some of the uniforms that we wear as part of the whole FSB kit, we have for our direct action. These are kind of like the snowflake of the group right now. Are these Vympel, I believe, coveralls, provided through Ostfront. Again, he's an amazing resource for anything Rust 4 that you may need. But they're very cool. It's head to toe, one piece, kind of like a flight suit. It's got elastic material in the shoulders, the waist. They're very comfortable, but they don't breathe. They're extremely warm. So this time of year in the summer, it's not ideal, but for the fall, winter, they are perfect. And they're very, very cool. If we're not going to be running this stuff, if the game doesn't dictate, if black doesn't fit within the camo regulations, we're usually going to run multicam. You see a lot of reference photos with FSB running Crye AC sets. Myself, I actually have a G3 set, but the differences are fairly indistinguishable unless you know what to look for. So it still fits the part, and I still have the real Crye, which is nice, the quality of them. But multicam is a good substitute for direct action stuff. But very popular right now in the world is the Specter camo for your reconnaissance stuff. You can also see Sumrak in the field. KLMK, but that's more old gen stuff. But this stuff is really, really awesome. It blends extremely well, which you'll see in some of the video. They look really thick and heavy and uncomfortable, but they are extremely lightweight, very, very breathable. At a local game last year, I was told many, many times, myself and a friend, that we were going to overheat, and all I simply asked them was to feel the sleeve and feel how thin it was, and they were all very, very impressed. Very, very comfortable, and it looks and works extremely well, especially for the Midwest in the spring and summer. And usually not absolutely required, but we usually as a team, if we're running together, we'll run friendly identifying armbands that are both the yellow and the orange. It is reversible. I do have an authentic SSO brand one, but IRT makes a solid replica. I mean, is it required for any kind of kit? No, absolutely not, but it kind of completes it. And it's just kind of what you see a lot in the Russian kits in the airsoft world. It's just it's an easy identifier. It may give you away sometimes, but more so it's just easier to spot your buddies when you're coming back from respawn.